Hi, welcome to the Quipster Film Review Podcast. My name is Vince Leo. I am the film critic for the website Quipster.net. I invite you to check out all of my written work at that website, Quipster.net, QWIPSTER.net, where I cover all of the latest film releases that are in wide release as well as in limited release, things that are going straight to your art house cinema, VOD, or streaming services, or even straight to television. Today I'm going to be looking at a film that is actually in a very small selection of theaters in the United States. It's actually probably in only 2 or 3 theaters, I would say, at any given time. It's called The Measure of a Man. It's a French drama. The original French title is La Loi du Marché. It's not rated. I probably would rate it PG for language. However, I don't think this is the kind of movie that most kids would sit still to see because it's a very slow and very deliberate kind of drama. It's an hour and 33 minutes, and the main star is Vincent Lindon. Corinne de Merbeck, Mathieu Schaller, and Yves Horry get some of the smaller roles in the film. The director is Stéphane Brisé, and he also provides the screenplay along with Olivier Gorsay. Vincent Lindon, he's an acclaimed thespian, and he's starring here with mostly a cast of non-professional actors in The Measure of a Man. This is Stéphane Brisé's realistic look at the suffering that goes on for people who are either unemployed or who are barely employed. Lindon, who has now starred in Brisé's last 3 films, plays Thierry. We find him at the beginning of the film unemployed for about a year and a half since he was laid off from his job as a factory worker. He's desperate for any form of work in order to make ends meet for himself, his wife, and his special needs child that he has to take care of, and also to pay for this apartment that he's just a few years from paying off. Thierry's trying the best as he can to get back on his feet, but he feels less than himself if he doesn't have a job, such that he's willing to suffer as many indignities as required from a host of potential employers and job center employees who either treat him with complete apathy, if not belittle him with acute condescension. To get the realistic look at The Measure of a Man, Brisé brings on a newcomer, Eric Dumont, whose prior experience came as a camera operator in documentaries, to be his cinematographer for this film. Everything is shot as if we're an invisible bystander to the action. It allows us to feel this sense of reality that Brisé is bringing to his story, mostly done in unbroken continuous takes for each scene. The screenplay, such as it is, allows for a great deal of natural improvisation on the part of the players, many of whom are in front of the camera here for the first time and yet feel so utterly natural you would never guess that. The scenes that they're in are raw and nervous. We wonder just how Thierry manages to keep his composure under the overwhelming critical gaze of those who persistently judge him because he's hungry to get back to the world of employment. And then later on, he himself is forced into a position where he takes on a job as a department store security officer, of having to be that one who must also pass judgment on those without means or those who are clinging to their low-paying jobs because it's all that they have to keep their heads above the rushing waters of financial despair. And this is not just a workplace drama. We don't just get glimpses of the taciturn Thierry as he tries a variety of means to make himself marketable enough to land a job. We also get scenes of his home life with his wife, who is trying to maintain the semblance of normalcy to her family life and to her spouse to keep him from feeling like he's unable to provide, even if it's just emotionally. We also get to know of Thierry's difficulties in dealing with a son with, I believe, cerebral palsy. He needs special care and attention in his current situation, as well as funding for a college in his immediate future, things that Thierry can't meet without assistance financially. However, what you won't get from The Measure of a Man is the Hollywoodization of seeing a man under external stress. If this were a Hollywood film, we would see, much like Michael Douglas in Falling Down or Andrew Garfield in 99 Homes, some sort of semi-thriller in which we see the slow boil of a man under extreme stress who finally lashes out. Instead, we get very realistic depictions of everyday people in mundane lives who have to suffer through all of these perpetual, irksome judgments placed upon them. and to see them have to jump through so many hoops like some sort of circus animal in order to try to ultimately get a job they may not even have wanted otherwise. In this way, I think that The Measure of a Man makes for a pretty good companion piece to the Belgian social drama that stars Marion Cotillard, the Dardenne brothers' 2 Days, One Night, which was a film that featured a similar situation of a woman who ends up having to humiliate herself to try to retain her means of living. Both films here wrestle with the question as to whether it's really worth the personal agony to live under such a condition of perpetual subservience to this idea that one's current job is the only thing that keeps us intact in the rest of our lives. The Measure of a Man has a brilliant central performance from Vincent Lindon. Lindon would take home the Best Actor award at Cannes. This is a very absorbing cinema verite style that Brisset employs here, and he provides 90 minutes of very thoughtful entertainment that ties together the perceived societal worth of people to their respective jobs. While the film is slow and without ready-made answers to the many problems it displays on the screen, such that it's not going to have a very wide audience appeal, and I would be very cautious about giving this film a blind recommendation to anyone who isn't an art house regular. If you've never seen or you avoid subtitled films or slow-moving dramas, this is not going to be for you. But for those who want to see something new and different and feel something reflective on their own lives, this does provide an insightful look of what the humiliation that poverty inflicts upon those who have trouble scraping by in life, whether because they have no work or because they feel that they need to retain at all costs their current job. Whether this film wraps you up in its discomforting cinema of niggling degradation or you remain a distant observer due to its slow and deliberately humdrum delivery, and I think that that slowness in its delivery is very intentional in evoking that soul-sucking nature of Thierry's life at various points throughout this film. If you come away from this movie with a new and compassionate perspective on those people who are struggling to pay the rent every month, then I think that Brisset's humanist work can only be considered a resounding success. I'm giving it 3.5 stars out of 4, and 3.5 stars on my scale means that I do think that this is a good movie. If you enjoy thoughtful cinema, even if it's not fast-paced, even if it doesn't conform to your traditional story arc, even if it doesn't have a big emotional finale, I do think that this is a film that holds up a mirror to society and a mirror to individuals within that society where money is the only measure of a man. I guess hence the title of this film is very poignant in that regard. 3.5 stars for Measure of a Man. And if that sounds appealing to you, I do think that it's worth going out of your way to see. Like I said, this is not a film for everyone because of its slow pace, but I, for one, feel very enriched coming out of it. And that's why, in addition to all of the blockbusters that everybody has playing at their local Cineplex or multiplex or whatever you want to call it, I also feel that there are a lot of hidden gems that are worth seeking out for cineasts or people who just want to see something about real life that means something to them. You know, a lot of these movies that come out that are from Hollywood, while they are very entertaining, they're not really reflective of anything in their own world. They're very escapist. They basically make you forget who you are and what you have to deal with in life. And I think a lot of people don't like to go to movies in which it just seems like real life because they get that in their real life. They'd rather see something completely different. And that's why escapist movies are so appealing to a lot of people. But I think that in addition to that, I think it's nourishing for the soul to see other people who are probably going through many of the things that either you're going through at the same time or somebody you know, and they kind of offer, even though they're fictional, they offer a peek into the lives that those people may not let you see because they have dignity. They don't want you to know that they're struggling. They don't want to know that they need your compassion. They don't want you to see them struggling. So that's why I think that films like this are very important so that we can see that which we would not otherwise see and hopefully gain a certain compassion for our fellow people in this society. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you do, I do encourage you to click the subscribe button, and I'll continue to deliver all of the film reviews, whether they're big blockbusters or very small independent releases like this one, you know, films that I think that you should put on your radar that you might not otherwise have had on there. Also, if you have been listening for a long time and you appreciate the show, I mean, everything that I do on the show is paid for out of pocket, whether it's the movies that I see, whether it's the hosting for this podcast, the time that it takes to write all of these reviews and also to deliver them in audio format. All of that I do free of charge. So if you want to show your support, all I'm really asking for is for you to leave a review on iTunes and let other people know to check out the show. That's it. That's all you have to do. Thanks everyone for listening. Enjoy your time whenever you get to go to the movies.